let's talk about the outlook for this market. And let's face it, when you have these lockdowns in place, that certainly clouds not just the economic, but also the earnings outlook. Can this market rally with a COVID policy still in place?
David, I think that's the question that clients are asking. I think the key location to watch is Shanghai. 90% of the confirmed cases are from Shanghai. But if we look at nationally, how the cases are impacting percent of GDP, then the peak was in fact the first week of April at about 80%. Last week, it's gone to about 58%. I think in the next week or two, if there's significant improvement in Shanghai, and then Beijing situation comes under control relatively quickly, I think then we're set up with some better, sentiment toward growth recovery. So 2Q is the trough we're looking at on a quarterly growth basis for China's GDP growth.
Okay, and what does it mean then for as far as an index target is concerned? Say CSI 300, and the reason I love having you on the show because you do this target very systematically. If that's the bottom, what is the earnings projection? What's the multiple you're attaching, and what does it mean for potential upside percentage-wise in price?
We're looking at a fairly sizable upside for CSI 300. And I think the key driver so far this year has been the U.S. 10-year yield. If we look at before 2016, the CSI 300 doesn't respond to the 10-year as much, but it has gotten more so because of the Connect program. And to this day, CSI 300 still respond to a little bit more to the CGB, onshore CGB 10 years, but the offshore respond to the U.S. 10-year. So I think in that instance, if we look at there's some potentially leveling off in the U.S. 10-year, that would be very positive. So our global macro people are looking at what the market is priced in, about 250 bips of rate hikes. But that could indeed be, too high of an expectation. So I think that would be the number one game changer. The second one, I think, is onshore has a lot of low-hanging fruit toward how the portfolio managers are evaluated. I think they get ranked daily, weekly, monthly, but just today, the CSRC talked about putting PMs on 3-year performance targets, or that the longer medium-term target is preferred. So I think maybe this market would become a little bit less volatile on a short-term basis. On earnings, CSI 300 in 2021 actually delivered quite nicely. What we saw in MSCI China was primarily property, discretionary, and communications, i.e. Internet, having to take down numbers. We didn't see that in CSI 300. And the 2022 earnings for CSI 100 is still in the mid-teens. Now, people do worry about commodity prices hurting margins, so I think the market is pricing in something much lower. We see Aussie dollar and then also iron ore having peaked in early April, but ag prices is still something that we worry about. So on staples, we still have an underweight.
Wendy, just to take you back to your earlier statement, I'm just wondering how high a degree of confidence can we attach to any bottom on growth or even any bottom on the market or trough on the market, given that the virus situation seems very fluid. I mean, yes, most of the cases are in Shanghai, but it's also where most of the testing is taking place, isn't it? And certainly with Beijing right now. What I'm trying to get to is the risk premium to this market seems quite substantial right now.
Yeah, David, I think, I come to your show from time to time. This is the time that you're questioning most, concerned about the risk. I haven't seen you so concerned about the risk. And then I hear from my clients, and then they're also very concerned about the risk. But then related to China is that if you think China has so many growth issues, then where do you put your money? Because within certain level of growth, you could support positive case elsewhere in Asia. But if China does have very substantial issues, then the related markets are also going to get impacted. But we do see various easing, particularly with infra. I don't think overall we're going to get a boost or plan to lift the national property market, but rural could be something that
Right.
steps up, so infra and rural.